And you're listening to AM Ocala Live, WOCA, The Source, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, as we're now just about 5 minutes past the top of the 8 o'clock hour. Of course, it's time for the Blood Bank Report. We've got Galen on the phone. Good morning, Galen.
Hey, good morning, Adam. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Not too bad. Rolling with this Wednesday here, as it was an interesting Tuesday nonetheless. Super Tuesday. And I was going to say, just like I did off air a little bit, few people were surprised to see what had come from the Democrats there with Biden getting some states wins.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it yesterday. I think after everybody basically dropped out, but Biden and Sanders and Warren, that Biden was going to get the majority of those, all those votes that the people who dropped out, and Warren was going to take a lot of votes away from Biden, and I think that's what happened.
Or you mean take a lot of votes away from Bernie?
Bernie. I'm sorry. Yeah, Bernie. Thank you. It was. You know, I always enjoy just people's reactions to things, just going back and forth, and you know, I'm always amazed that, you know, and I spent a little time on TV, but you know, CNN has a panel of like 17. I think I could be on that panel if I submitted an email.
Yeah.
I think literally at one point they had 15 people on the panel, and it was a 3.5-minute segment. And I'm like, how in the world? And they're just fighting over each other, and they're fighting over the exact same point.
Yep.
You know,
yeah,
and you wonder why CNN is struggling.
Yeah.
Just rotate them in, and then you go over to Fox, and Fox will have their two hosts who don't really say much with guests, and then they'll have, you know, two people on it each time, and they're each usually on the other side, or and it's a completely different conversation because at least they can complete a sentence. You know?
Yeah.
And so I just laugh.
Mm-hmm.
I just laugh.
Yeah, it was interesting.
And,
I was going back and forth a little bit too, just to kind of preemptively say what we were saying yesterday about kind of hearing it, pretty much the same information, but being talked about from different sides. And
Sure.
And you're right. For a moment there, it was really tough to watch CNN. Not necessarily really any information other than just everybody talking over each other.
Correct. And you know, when sports talk radio was big, right? When you look at the shows that were incredibly popular, where that's Mike and the Mad Dog in New York, right? Mm-hmm. Our show, when we first started our station in Jacksonville, was really big because we came out. It's like we have to have bold opinions. We can't worry about who we offend. Mm-hmm. If we're going to compete in this market and make a name, we have to make a name for ourselves, and we have to put ourselves out there and open ourselves up to criticism. And politics and political talk has become exactly what sports talk was in the 90s.
Yeah.
It's become brash. It's become, you know, think of a guy like Jim Rome, who, and I know you love sports talk radio, so this kind of speaks to you, but he made his brand off of being that guy who wasn't afraid to challenge you, and he called, you know, the quarterback from the Rams Chrissy, to the point where he punched him in the face, and that made Rome's career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Rome is burning. That's what got that fired up and rolling.
That's exactly right. So now politics is the same way. They're like, how can we get viewers? And Fox is taking the stance, we're going to have fewer voices, and they'll be just as political and just as one-sided. There's just going to be fewer noise. Mm-hmm. CNN is like, nope, we're going all in. We're going to go, you know, full WWE death cage match every segment, every time there's politics involved. And Van Jones is going to come off of the top rope and try to kill someone. And that's pretty much what happens every segment. Yeah. So I kind of enjoy it from that standpoint.
Do you smell what politics are cooking? I get it.
Yeah,
I get it, and that's a good point. It's almost as if their tactic was, if everybody has a voice, let's let all those voices at one time for the 3-minute segment be talked about the same one point that was already made and already done and over with, but let's have opinions about the opinions of that point. And that's truly what it was, because to be honest with you, that's what kind of wore me out. I ended up falling asleep there around about 9:15, 9:30 because it was just kind of hard to keep up with. And like you said, I was kind of going back and forth. It was Fox, and then I was actually going back with Spectrum News because that was a little interesting too, hearing a little bit more kind of like local news talk about it. I think that's kind of endearing in a way to hear how on a national level, like you said, you got Fox one lopsided, but like you said, a little bit more succinct with who was speaking at the time that they were. CNN, you got crowded everything about opinions and reporting on opinions, and then what little bit they could give you at the ticker tape there at the bottom of what was really going on. Half the time I was watching CNN, it was like, what are they talking about? What has happened? Has something happened that's important or no? And when I would switch back to the local news, Spectrum News, I think it was, that was kind of interesting because that was kind of more soft-spoken, and it was a 4-panel that they were going back and forth a little bit, which was it wasn't bad. It was actually pretty good because as they were updating what was going on, it was more like, oh, let's stop your point for a minute and let's just report what's changed. What we're actually doing is reporting news of the updates of the numbers, and then we'll go back to your conversation. So that was actually pretty good. I was actually pretty impressed with how Spectrum did it, local stuff. But nonetheless, do you think this is going to drag out between the two of them, and like they said, till maybe July?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you think it's?
I think it's going to go to the convention without anybody owning the majority. I think that's almost a given at this point. Bernie's going to win California. He's going to win Washington. He'll win Oregon. He's going to win all of those, what we would call deep blue states.
Yeah.
He's going to win New Mexico. And Biden's going to win anything that's in the South, and anything in that Mid-Atlantic area like Delaware.
Yeah.
So, who wins Illinois, I guess, is a big question. But and by the way, Bloomberg's not going anywhere.
Oh,
he is going to continue to stay in.
I was going to ask you about him later. Yep. So, yeah, you think he's not going anywhere?
Now, anybody who got a delegate at this point in the race is invited to be on stage. And so I read something this morning in it, and I guess Bloomberg got 5 delegates, and it cost him $50 million each. I'm like, wow, if I had $50 million, maybe I could get more. But Tulsi Gabbard's going to be on the stage because she's not going to drop out.
No.
And so I think Elizabeth Warren will probably drop out today after she finishes third in her home state.
Yeah, that was kind of a big blow there.
And that's going to make Biden and Sanders even closer.
Yeah, I think you're right. Now, with like you said, with Bloomberg not going anywhere, what do you think becomes of that? What happens there?
I just don't think he gets any votes. I just think he makes a lot of noise. I really believe, and I think Trump proved this, is that people want to vote for who's going to win.
Yeah.
Especially in the primary. They want to feel like they're behind their guy, unless they're really passionate. And I think what happened with Trump, especially by the time he got to Florida, I don't think anybody expected him to win Florida the way he won Florida.
Right.
Since it was Marco's backyard and everything. And I think people just wanted to vote for a winner. And I think that's why he got all that momentum. Now, between Sanders and Biden, you're voting for 2 different philosophies. You're voting for 2 different approaches to government.
Yeah.
And they're in a virtual dead heat. I think people are going to vote for whichever way they want the country to go in.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, and
that makes it very, very interesting.
And that's why, like I think too, that it's going to drag itself out because usually, doesn't it feel like at least there's some parallels there about what the candidates are running for or with, but this, like you said, they're 2 opposites in a way, and with that's just going to continue to drag itself out, as if you will, and I think you're right. I think that's the part of it. Don't you want to like the winner, who you think is going to win, is what you're going to vote for in a way. Like you want to get behind something that you know is going to have an end result, so to speak. It's I don't know. It's interesting. What's kind of neat about it is now that I've paid more attention, I've never paid this much attention this early in politics for everything. But now with doing this stuff, it's interesting because as I'm staying tactful with the news and keeping up with it and everything, it's made things a little bit interesting. And what better way? Now. With our segment here, we want to, as we're now just a little bit after the quarter after, we want to give a shout out to Palm Garden Health and Rehabilitation Center, Palm Garden of Ocala, our good friends there at 2700 Southwest 34th Street, 854-6262. Whether you're in need of short-term or long-term care solutions for them to accelerate your pathway to recovery within a compassionate environment for their enhanced clinical services, their initiative therapy, and compassionate health care, Palm Garden Health and Rehabilitation Center, 854-6262, and Penn Flooring. Penn Flooring, family-owned and operated, serving our Marion County for over 30-plus years, and all of their success is due to their unrivaled customer service, with full-service flooring company dedicated to finding the best solution for your flooring needs. With experience in both commercial and residential fields, you can find Penn Flooring at 1201 Southwest 17th Street in Ocala, 351-3420, 351-3420. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So Penn Flooring and Palm Garden Health and Rehabilitation Center are proud sponsors of this segment as we talk with Galen here to the expectations of the blood supply. Galen, how was it looked yesterday after another full day here, even though the corona was reported in Florida?
Yeah, we're right at a 3-day blood supply. It just takes us a while to kind of get past that, but donations continue to be on the good foot, and we just need more of them. We need platelet donors. Again, we just don't know much about the coronavirus other than it hasn't hit any children yet, which is, I guess, a blessing. It's really impacting old people. Oh, I don't know. I'm old. Older people. I don't know. What do you call old people? Older. Our senior citizens among us.
Yeah.
But yeah, that. So again, just be conscientious of that. Wash your hands. Do all that stuff, and just please just give the gift of life. Donate blood. I did get this question yesterday. We sanitize all of our blood mobiles every night, and we sanitize all of our donor chairs after every donation. So whenever somebody sits down on them, we wipe them down with a pretty strong disinfectant. That's also why it gives it that smell. Tried to get rid of that smell, but not much you can do. And the same with our donor centers and all of our labs, things like that. So we're much more concerned about a bloodborne pathogen than we are a virus. But we know during cold season, the last thing we want to do is for you to give blood and to pick up a virus at the same time. So just we're conscientious of that. We clean the blood mobile really thoroughly, and just give the wife, donate blood.
Mm-hmm. Where is the blood mobile at today there, Galen?
Hey, today we're right back at the Walmart down at the Shores, and we're excited about that. It's a good location for us. Please give.
Excellent. Now, as I kind of sort of segue this into sports, but I read on the Rip and Read that some of the spring training ballparks have taken a little precaution. What is it in Bradenton there, the Pirates Stadium? They completely did a disinfectant of the entire ballpark, they said, and now they're trying to, I guess, get on the bandwagon to let Major League Baseball know with the players and stuff as far as fan interaction between signing balls, using pens, and handshakes and all this stuff. Do you think this is a little bit of an overreaction, or do you think that this is just, hey, do what you can so it keeps the public at ease?
Baseball players, I mean a lot, don't really like interacting with the fans.
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought when I read that too.
They just don't. And then there are some that are so good at it, and they want to do more of it. What I think you'll see is different interactions. I saw somebody say, "Oh, we should, handshakes should go away. We should just fist bump." I'm like, you still realize you're touching skin to skin, right? Yeah, I mean, a fist bump still can spread the virus if it's spread through contact.
Right.
No.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know what it'll look like. I saw one guy, Red Sox, just say, "Yeah, I just signed now with a batting glove on." And I'm like, that's great if you take the batting glove off, sterilize it in a way. Right?
Yeah.
But if you have an object on your hand and you still touch your face, you just spread the virus to yourself. No matter what you're wearing, and
Right.
that's in the medical field they talk about a lot. Never touch your glove of your hand to your face. If you have to scratch, take the glove off, then scratch, then put a new glove on.
Right.
That's a regular thing, but yeah, I mean that's just baseball. I mean, baseball, partly why baseball has such a problem.
Yeah.
So I am telling you, I am struggling getting into this season. I love the fact that the Astros are just getting crushed everywhere they go and everywhere they play. They're getting basically heckled to death.
Yeah.
And the players are being impacted. One of the coolest things I saw the other day, I think it happened Sunday, was a pitcher from the Washington Nationals was just telling the batter what was coming. If you've ever played baseball, the way you flip your glove tells the catcher what you're going to throw when you're warming up. That way you don't have to waste your time with signs. So he was pushing his glove, and then he'd throw his fastball, and then he'd pull his glove, and then you'd see him throw the changeup, and then he'd flick the ball, flick it to his left, tell him he's throwing a curveball, and he got the guy out 5 pitches. And again, it's proof just because you know what's coming.
Right.
Doesn't mean you can hit it, but it does mean that on a given pitcher you can take a pitch, and that's what the Astros are doing.
Yeah.
We'll see. I didn't even renew my Major League Baseball app, which I think is the best app in all of sports. I didn't renew it. I just I don't know. I haven't gotten that burn in my belly the way I usually do this time of year.
I feel
And I was going to go to a spring training game Saturday, and I talked myself out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I'm at. I don't know. The state of baseball is in a weird place. The Red Sox report on their cheating scandal was supposed to be out 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. Yeah.
3 weeks ago, and it's still not out. Why? Why not? Are they just going to say, "Oh, never mind, we're not going to bother"? I mean, 3 weeks, and it took them almost a month and a half. I think they've been investigating for 4 weeks before they even said that they were going to have a report.
Right.
This is a problem. This is a real problem for baseball, and I think partly what's happening is the commissioners looking at the response that the Astros got with their real lack of any punishment, other than the owner just fired the manager and the general manager. I mean, those two guys got crushed, but nothing really else happened. I'm wondering if the commissioners rethinking it and say, you know what, you're all gone. I'm curious what they do, what that lasting impact will be.
Yeah. And, with that being said, too, I know your Red Sox, they were on national television yesterday with the Yankees, and I was wondering, I was going to ask you if you had caught any of it, but like you said, with you kind of having a hard time getting into the season itself, I imagine you did.
I watched it. It doesn't mean I don't watch. It was terrible. I mean, they think. So they're Chris Sale. I mean, I'll talk about him because I still follow him.
Yeah.
Chris Sale's going to go on the IR. He's got an MRI today because he's got inflammation in his elbow after throwing live BP. They traded away their second best pitcher, which is David Price.
Yep.
Their third best pitcher they let go in free agency. So I don't know who the heck they're going to start. I was thinking about submitting my resume to come out of the pen for him and maybe face 3 batters. I could maybe get the ball across the plate if I warmed up for about an hour and a half. It's terrible, and this is all just a salary dump for the Red Sox.
Yeah.
So terrible, absolutely terrible.
With that in mind, for what you saw, does that with this now, like you said, 3 weeks, that's true. You thought something would have come up by now and you could put it behind you, move on with spring training, and get to the start of the regular season. But do you see that eventually becoming an issue as it continues to be dragged out with everything going on?
It's an issue.
Yeah.
Well, heck yeah. That's why the manager isn't the confirmed manager. He's just the interim manager.
And with that,
that's the direct reason.
and that affects what goes on in spring training. That affects
Everything.
the energy, the mindset, the probably sometimes too the work ethic.
I don't know about the work ethic. They're professionals.
Yeah.
And the way the Red Sox are now run, they run it all on analytics, and a computer spits out who should pitch and who should pinch hit, all those things, and whether or not you should steal a base. They are very, very analytically driven, and it's worked for them. They get to the point where they'll tell you what to expect on a 2-2 pitch from each pitcher.
Yeah.
So, and that also helps why if you're banging a trash can or making a noise, and this guy usually throws a slider at 2-2, you know it's a slider. And usually if one guy throws a slider, you know where the placement of that slider is going to be.
Yeah.
That's not something you can measure, and they don't do that in spring training. So they start that in the regular season.
From what little bit you watched, what do you think of your rivals there with the Yankees? Do you think
spring training? Spring training. If you get anything out of spring training, it's like preseason football. Nobody cares.
No one cares.
You won't know who's good until May. Really until June.
June. Yeah, I was gonna say end of May, June.
Teams have gotten off to a horrific start and still made the playoffs, especially with this new playoffs system.
And some teams have gotten off to a great start, and then come June, they're falling off.
Of course.
That's most of your Central Division.
But what you can start to see is your rhythm. You can start to see what kind of team it's going to be, and especially if there's young talent, you can really determine how the young talent is doing.
Right. Well, good, man. Well, yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm not. I'm feeling like I'm gonna get hit with the little bit of baseball bug here soon, but I guess there's just too many distractions maybe going on around us in lieu of Corona and politics and all that. Maybe that's a little bit a part of it. But I can tell you this, always that opening day of baseball season, that opening week is always a charm. And maybe it's just because where we're at early in the month of March, like you said, maybe by the end of March, then we'll be feeling that tickle again to get excited about the season. But
maybe
until
Formula
then,
One starts next weekend.
Yep.
Australia. I love Formula One. Formula One's quickly becoming my favorite sport.
Yeah.
But and then baseball starts in April, and we'll see. I was telling somebody the other day, they called me and had a lot of concern about the virus, and people think I'm in the medical field, so therefore I'm an expert. They're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And I said, look, relax. I said, the flu has still killed more people this year than the coronavirus.
Yeah, that's true.
The flu in the United States has killed more people than the coronavirus has killed throughout the world. I said, I'm not saying it couldn't be bad, but we just don't know.
Right.
Let's see how quickly we can come up with a vaccination. We now have a test that's being rapidly deployed all over the country. Let's see where we're at. And it hasn't impacted. And this guy he's about the same age as me. And I said, it hasn't impacted our age group yet. I said, if it impacts our age group, then we're in a lot of trouble because, like it or not, we're the big money spenders and we're the drivers of the economy.
That's right. Well, just a few seconds, buddy. Just a few seconds, buddy. Well, thank you, man, and be safe on the road.
Yeah, man.
We'll catch you tomorrow.
It's a Fox News Alert. I'm
right,
Chris
thanks,
Foster.
Al.
Joe Biden comes out of Super Tuesday, now the leader in the Democratic Party presidential race, winning in at least 9 states yesterday and the most delegates.
Our campaign reflects the diversity of this party and this nation. And that's how it should be. Because we need to bring everybody along. Everybody. We want to